Happy Friday. I am Semi-Retired Bob. I talk about the carnivore diet, all things related to the carnivore diet, and miscellaneous odds and ends. Let me know in the comments if you can hear me. I see Rick has checked in from Miami. How's the weather down there today, Rick? Currently here in Omaha, it is 28 degrees, and we are under a winter weather advisory. There's nothing coming down here at the house, but we are supposed to start getting some freezing rain here in just a little bit. So it looks like it's going to be spikes for tomorrow's walk, which will be just fine. I'm kind of looking forward to it. You know, a normal person that wasn't as crazy as me would have gone out for a walk today and recorded tomorrow's video. I did go out for a walk today, but I chose to hold on recording tomorrow's video till tomorrow morning in hopes of getting some worse weather to walk in and record so that you can see I'm out there every day regardless of the weather. And that's really what this whole thing has been about. The entire channel's purpose, in fact. If I can inspire one person to do 1% better by what I'm doing, then all of this is worthwhile. Rick says he can hear me, and it's 78 degrees there. And Josephine is here. Hello, beautiful people. Sounds good. It's raining here in QLD. I don't know where QLD is, but I'm glad it's only raining there and not sleeting or snowing or doing something else. It has not rained for 6 weeks here. Well, aren't you glad hurricane season is over? Because you should have gotten plenty of rain to last you through the winter already. Keto Carney Cajun is here. Hello, happy Friday the 13th. Yes, it is Friday the 13th. If you're suspicious, you know, to me, if you're like me and you watch Christmas movies pretty much constantly the final 2 weeks going into Christmas, today seems like a perfect day to watch Nightmare Before Christmas. I suspected it was Queensland, Australia, but you know, us dumb Americans just don't know all the international abbreviations. But I am glad you're here. And Wendy is here from Nova Scotia. Hello, Wendy. I'm guessing it's kind of cold and snowing up there in Nova Scotia, but I could be wrong. Does anybody else get irritated when watching other people from the, shall we say, from the other side of the aisle, how they manage to speak with such authority, like they have all this science behind them, when we know that's crap? They have pseudoscience, but they don't have actual science. Let's see here. Danny is here, one of my channel members. Beautiful 55 degree here in Winder, Georgia. Got my cataract surgery on my left eye this morning. I can see clearly now. Good. So is the rain gone? Sorry. Younger people won't get that. I'm hoping Danny does. 61 here. What is 28 degrees? 28 degrees, well, 32 is freezing, which is 0 Celsius. So 28 degrees would be, I don't know, 3 or 4, maybe 5 below in that other scale. I don't know too. Well, okay. Still no ducks in my yard. Yeah, I knew Rick would get that reference. It is a good song. Yes, indeed. There's lots of good songs out there. But did anybody else watch Dr. Barry's video yesterday? There's a new study that's out. It's not a great study. It's a small study. It's a preliminary study. But it shows an association that we knew was there all along. Those of us that have been following this way of living for long enough to have watched a lot of the YouTube videos about it. Lo and behold, there's a new study that shows the ketogenic diet can prevent or even cure some cancers. If you want the whole story, go watch Dr. Berry's video, because we all know I get in trouble if I try to do science. So I'll just point that out to you, that Dr. Berry put out a video yesterday that, if you haven't watched, is probably worth. It's just a little 2.5, 3-minute video, so it's not like it's going to take a bunch of your time. Yes, I remember that song. I can see clearly now. The rain is gone. Yes, indeed. Yes, it's going to be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. Never watched Dr. Berry, no time to. I know you're so busy being on everybody else's channel these days, Rick. When do you find time to get your work done? But can it cure duck flu? I don't know. I don't know anything about ducks. Let's see here. Hang on just a second. Well, did anyone sing that at Danny Banks' comment? See, I sang it in my head, which is why I came up with that comeback to him. See, because I do. Oh, thank you. Got to see that Dr. Berry video. Yes. It was very good. You know, I still watch all of the stuff and the things, even though I've been at this for 2.5 years. Anytime Dr. Berry puts out a new video, I still sit down and watch it. I try to watch most of Dr. Chafee's stuff, but he's on quite often now, and some of his video Q&As get to be quite lengthy. So I watch what I can when I can. When Dr. Mason puts out a new one, I watch that. And Dr. Baker is really big on putting out shorts of the, even when it's a regular video, he only goes for a couple, 3 minutes. So that's easy to keep up with as well. I had a good point. Shh, don't tell anybody, Rick. It could ruin my reputation. But I always find it, I try not to get mad. I try not to get infuriated when they sit there and, they talk with such authority about how strong their science is and how we have no science supporting us. Well, the studies are starting to come out. Again, they're not going to be great studies, and they're certainly not going to show cause and effect, because we don't have massive number of massive amounts of people locked in labs. So we can't ever show cause and effect, but we're starting to get our own associative data. And because we know how poor nutrition science has been to this point, many of the people doing these studies are going to great lengths to try to make them better studies than what we've had for the past 20 or 30 years. I remember Cheech and Chong movie where he sang that verse. I don't know. I don't remember that. Of course, I haven't rewatched any of the Cheech and Chong movies for a long time. I saw them when they first came out, but I haven't gone back and watched those. Met a nurse at Walmart, and she was getting Kerrygold butter, and I was too. And then I mentioned Carnivore, and she had cancer and had a kidney removed and was on oxygen. She knew about the lies. Yeah. And I've mentioned this in other videos, and I just mentioned this recently. I understand not all doctors and nurses are intentionally out to get us. There are a few of them out there. I mean, there's a few that are, you can tell by the amount of stuff they put out and what they say every single time they open their mouth that they are being paid to push an agenda that is backed by big food, the sugar corporations, big pharma, all of that. But most of the doctors and nurses out there are just going by what they were taught. And of course, the problem is that medical schools these days are the curriculum is being controlled by big food and big pharma. I just saw there was an ad. Somebody snapped a picture. I can never pronounce it right. Ferrero Rocher, I think, is the name of the candy. It's like those little hazelnut chocolate balls that are out. And there was a picture somebody had posted online of a little card sitting right in front of the Ferrero Rochers that said, "Did you know that type 2 diabetes is a result of insulin resistance," and I forget what else it said, "but not caused by consumption of excess sugar." Basically trying to tell you it's okay, go ahead and get this chocolate because that's not going to make your diabetes worse, even though we know it is. Now, can we say that sugar is the direct cause of it? No, we don't have any of that kind of study, but sugar does cause obesity. You can follow the pathways in the actual hard sciences that shows how excess sugar is converted into fat and all of the other damage that it does to your body. It's not the benign thing that they want us to believe it is. Yes, the vegan science. Loving that hat, Bob. Are you looking forward to Christmas? I am. Not that I have any big plans. I'm not going anywhere for Christmas. I'm staying here. I'm actually planning a trip out of the house I will probably stop on my way back from dance class on Tuesday, which will be, like a week and a day before Christmas. I'm going to stop at Big Meats. I don't shop there very often because they're a little on the pricey side. They're one of the local butchers. They sell packages of meat online, and they also, if you happen to have a farm, they contract for butchering whole cows and pigs and sheep and things like that, so that you can have the animal shipped to them, and they will prepare it, wrap it up, and ship it back to you in freezable containers. But they also, besides their online shop, they actually have a physical shop that I pass every time I go to dance class. So I'm going to stop in there and get myself a great big steak to cook for Christmas. And then starting the day after Christmas, now's a really good time to get into this because I put out a video just a few days ago talking about eggs. And I'm going to try an experiment after I have that big steak for Christmas, whatever it is yet. I don't know what it's going to be. I'm certainly not going to spend 50 or 60 bucks on a great big bone-in tomahawk ribeye like Dr. Baker eats. But I'm going to buy myself a nice chunk of meat, probably spend 30 or 40 bucks on it for a nice chunk of Christmas meat. But then the next day, I'm going to start 30 days of eggs only, just to see, because I had that video questioning how we would feel if we went to eggs only and if that was perhaps a cheaper way to go. And my plan is for the first 2 or 3 weeks after Christmas, continue to eat the eggs that I get just as cheap as you can buy at Walmart. And then for the final couple of weeks, I'm going to go to the grocery store and buy some good pasture-raised eggs and see if I can feel a difference. And who knows, maybe just eating eggs will make me sick, but we'll find out because I'm going to try it. My World Carnivore Month, which is in January, is going to be eating just eggs, just to see. I'm going to miss my ground beef. I love, even though I just buy the cheapest you can get from Walmart, I love that cheap ground beef. Throw it in the skillet, brown it up, let some grease soak back into it, maybe cut up a little butter on the side and call that good. I really love that, but it's worth the experiment to see how I feel on just eggs for a while. Maybe I'll feel worse. Maybe I'll feel better. I don't know. We'll find out. Rick says he went to Gordon Foods to get some ground meat and eggs. Gordon Foods, is that a chain grocery store down there, Rick, or is it a specialty kind of a shop? Duck food balls. Yeah, obesity. Yes, they are duck food balls. I told her that meat is your lowest carb and told her carnivore was helping some cancer patients live longer, and then prayed for her. She was about 70 years old. My heart went out to her. Yes. And Dr. Seifried, is that his name? Of course, since you just ran into her at the store, you're not going to be able to get back in touch with her again. But keeping Dr. Seifried's name on the tip of your tongue, Dr. Barry interviewed him and several others. He's been out there making the interview circuit for about the last year now, talking about, and he's a cancer specialist. I don't remember. I think he's at Boston College University, but I could be wrong about that. Todd Bachmus ate 36 eggs a day for a while. Sometimes he drank them, and his testosterone finally went from low to high for the first time in his life. Yeah, I'm not going to eat 36 eggs a day. That's too many for me. I will probably eat somewhere between 12 and 18 eggs a day, since all I'm going to have is eggs. And that's normally what I do on my off days when I don't have any ground beef in the house and I'm just using up the eggs before my next food order arrives. I will have somewhere between 12 and 18 eggs, depending on how hungry I am. Because my normal meal is about 1.5 pounds of ground beef and 6 eggs. But eggs fill me up really quickly sometimes, so we'll see how it goes. John is here. Hello. Okay, something happened. It's not clicking. Oh, I wonder if something's gone wrong here. There we go. Just had a little lag. John is here. Hello, all. I'm glad you made it, John. Gordon Food is like a restaurant supply that sells to the public, and right now they have the cheapest ground beef, and I'm assuming eggs was the end of that sentence. Good. Okay, so it's a restaurant supply type stuff. Excellent. And, this time of year, or any time of year, really, it's always nice to have better meats like steaks and roasts and things like that. But especially this time of year, we need to be as cheap as we can be. And if that means ground beef and eggs, then so be it. I've been on basically a ground beef and eggs diet for more than a year now, with the occasional roast thrown in. And I actually just had a couple of New York strip steaks yesterday because they were on sale, so I bought them. But I don't have those very often. Thank you for letting me know about Dr. Siegfried. Yeah, like I said, I don't know how to spell his name or say it, but if you search, well, I know he's been interviewed, but he's talked with Dr. Barry at least once, if not twice. And I'm pretty sure Dr. Baker had him on. I'm pretty sure Dr. Chafee had him on. And he's been, if you search for him, he's around the internet a lot. And John wants to know, how's the knee feeling, Bob? It feels fine. I don't even really notice that I heard it on Tuesday. Like I said, I didn't notice I heard it on Tuesday at the time. It was Wednesday morning when I got out of bed that I went, oh, my knee kind of hurts. I must have tweaked the dance. And it got a little bit better throughout the day. But of course, when I went out for my walk, it was really hurting. But I still got my walk in, some of it. Not as much as I wanted, but I got some walking in. And, I'd even walked some Tuesday night after I got back from dance because I didn't really notice it. But the next day I certainly did. But it feels absolutely fine today. I've been out and been around the big block 2 or 3 times already. I'm going to go back out. Hopefully, as the freezing rain and snow starts, I can get back outside into it, or I may wait till morning to get tomorrow's video recorded. But I definitely want to get out into the bad weather a little bit because if you're just joining us, we are here in Omaha. We are under a winter storm watch or warning. I forget which. Let me look at the Weather Channel thing here real quick and see what it says. Oh, it just says winter weather advisory until Saturday at 9 a.m. Let's see here. I used to eat 12-day on low carb, but also ate tomatoes and hamburger and lettuce and chili. Making short ribs tonight. Excellent. I've already had some eggs today, and I think that's all I'm going to have. I'm not super hungry now. We'll see. After the live, I may decide I'm hungry again, and I don't have any hamburger out thawing, so if I get hungry, I'll just throw some more eggs in the skillet and scramble them up. But on a quick non-carnivore topic, tomorrow is the greatest football game of the year. Everybody that watches my channel knows I'm an Ohio State fan. But if you are even a casual observer of college football, Army, Navy, if you have never been to an Army-Navy game, you should add that to your bucket list because it is an atmosphere like no other. It's even more pronounced now that we're in the era of NIL where kids enter the transfer portal and they go from school to school to school, and whoever's going to pay them the most money, that's where they go. Except for Army and Navy and Air Force too, but they're not any good this year. But people at the service academies are at the service academies because after college, they're going to serve this great nation in our armed forces. You cannot get picked up out of the transfer portal to a place like Army or Navy. And just all of the cadets in their dress uniforms and the bands and the flyovers and everything. It's a really good time. I've been to an Army-Navy game. And like I said, if you've never been to an Army-Navy game, you should probably do that at some point in your life. Add it to your bucket list. It's great fun. But I'm looking forward to watching that game tomorrow. I think there's a couple of bowl games too, which is a little on the disappointing side because in previous years, since they made this switch, because Army already played in their conference championship game last week and won, but they still have the Army-Navy game because they moved the Army-Navy game to a week where there wasn't any other college football so that everybody that wanted to watch it could watch it. And now there's a couple of bowl games. I don't know what the times are. I haven't checked to see if there's any interference there, but I'm always excited for the Army-Navy game. Go Army. And Andy McCann is here. Hello, Andy. I'm glad you're here. Thanks for stopping by. Again, if anybody has any questions, comments, topics, or just random remarks, now's a really good time to put them out there. just throw them in the comments to the side. I'll throw them up, and if there's something to talk about, we'll certainly talk about them. My son is in the Army, a captain, and getting ready to become major in Wiesbaden, Germany. He today just got Soldier of the Year. So I'm very proud of his hard work. Good for him. And thank him from one Army vet to another. Thank him for his service from me. Because, the whole reason we get to sit here preparing for Christmas in the comfort of our homes, the safety of our homes, is because we have people out there holding the line in our armed forces. Let's see here. Yes, you're welcome. Mine was a really long time ago. Let's see here. 2011, 21, 40. Good grief. Did I really get out of the Army 41 years ago? I think I need a nap now. Might even been 42 years ago now. I'm terrible at math. But anyway, just finished dehydrating some jerky. Nice to have some control over the ingredients for the change. Yeah. And if you have a dehydrator or a freeze dryer or any other types of things where you can make your own jerky, that is great. I had planned on doing some of that when I came home here from North Carolina. I even bought a dehydrator / air fryer / thingamajig and just never got around to it because the bottom line is that I'm a terrible cook. I am. That's why I don't do cooking videos. I don't do any of that stuff because I am a horrible cook. It's good enough for me. My steaks yesterday were very good. I'm sure anybody else that was tasting would go, oh, these are a little on the tough side. Yeah, they probably were, but when you're used to having ground beef and eggs, even a bad steak is pretty good. I don't know what that means, but I'm glad you liked I'm glad your beef jerky turned out good. And that is really a good thing, because there's a lot of beef jerky out there for sale. And if you don't read the ingredients, can't boil water. I can boil water. Yeah. Oh, speaking of which, yeah, this is a really bad joke. I've been about bad dad jokes for a while now. I told one, somebody didn't get it, but you know how you make holy water? You boil the hell out of it. Yeah. Welcome to dad jokes. I can't boil water either. Actually, I can boil water. I'm a terrible cook. I tend to splatter grease everywhere, which is why I use a lid over top of the skillet when I do my ground beef. And most people will look at the food that I do and go, wow. Yeah, but it keeps me alive. And even though my scrambled eggs aren't the best looking in the world, they're still scrambled eggs, which are nutritious. And I like them. And when you eat at home, you can control the ingredients, which is what we were talking about there with the beef jerky. Because most people will start a carnivore or a low-carb diet and go, oh, beef jerky. And they just go to their local store and grab an armload of whatever beef jerky's on the shelf. But then they wonder why they're not losing weight. Well, if you read the package, so many of those beef jerkies are loaded with sugar and other things that aren't good for us. And why? Just because it's cheaper to make it that way. Really good beef jerky. I mean, I complained for a while. There was a place that I used to get beef jerky, and I was, originally asking him why it was so expensive, and he's like, "Do you really understand what goes into real beef jerky and what doesn't, as compared to the stuff you buy at the store?" And he's long since gone, and his restaurant's not there anymore. I think it's a sad little Mexican place, but it used to be, he used to have a big smokehouse out back behind the restaurant, and he smoked all of his own meats. And on days he made beef jerky, and this was 15 years ago, maybe even 20. His beef jerky was selling for $25 a pound, but it was so good. And he made it there himself, and he didn't use any sugar in it. It was just meat and a spice rub that he put on it, and it was really, really good. Oh, what did the fish say when it hit a wall? Yeah, dad jokes. Dad jokes are good. For those that didn't see yesterday's video, I was talking, as I started the video yesterday, I was talking about how I was watching an Australian cooking show. And it was like an Iron Chef thing, but it was with baking. And some guy made a really nice meringue, and the whole crowd cheered. And I thought this was a little odd because Australians usually boo meringue. And one of my viewers didn't get it. Oh well. So today is Friday the 13th, as I said earlier. So if you're a Christmas movie watcher, it's probably a good day to watch Nightmare Before Christmas. If you haven't seen that movie and don't think that it would be a good Christmas movie, I actually really like it. But then again, I like Tim Burton's stuff. So who knows? Oh, what else were we going to talk about today? I don't remember. I'm going to have to get my note sheet out. That's not my note sheet. That's something else. Anxiety and stress. Challenge. Oh, this is a really old note sheet. Yeah, I'm running out of stuff to talk about here, guys. So tell me which one. Oh, there's Bert. I got your joke just now. Okay, good. Feelings on Day. I'm assuming you're talking about Day, D-A-Y, the head coach of Ohio State. I can talk about this. I personally, even though the athletic director is given a full vote of confidence, we all know that doesn't mean a whole lot in college football. My gut feeling is that if he progresses in the playoffs, if we beat Tennessee at home and then go to the Rose Bowl and beat Oregon, getting a second chance at them, that Ryan Day will probably keep his job. I don't know if I actually like that thought because I was alive during the John Cooper era. And John Cooper got to keep his job for way too many years. But Day is becoming the same problem that John Cooper was, where would win every other game, but then lose to that team up north. I believe Cooper's record was 1 win, 10 losses, and 1 tie against that team up north. So they did finally flush him, but I don't want to get into another situation like that. Yes, Ryan Day's record against everybody else is outstanding. And Ohio State is always ranked in the top 10. But with the kind of talent Ohio State gets, I think they should be able to win that many games a year with a couple of blind monkeys coaching the team. I think the mental collapse against that team up north was absolutely unforgivable, and we'll see what happens. My gut feeling is, as an Ohio State fan, is I would like to see him gone, but I sort of see why they might keep him too. Oh, Rick just rode my bike to Fresco Emma's and bought some chicken legs for Heart Attack Chicken. Yeah, and I like, chicken is really cheap. That's one of the things that I do occasionally have. I don't make it heart attack style like Rick. I usually just stick it in the oven and bake it and then eat butter with it to up the fat content. But chicken is so cheap. Even the cheapest ground beef I can get, which is about $3 a pound. Some weeks it's slightly more, some weeks it's slightly less. So over the course of a few months, it averages out to about $3 a pound. The last time I bought bone-in chicken thighs with the skin on, they were $1.79 a pound. And the last two times I bought chicken legs, they were $1.39 a pound. Now, yes, there's bone in there, so you don't get as much meat, but you can't ignore the meat for that cheap of a price. And is it as good as beef? No, not by a long shot. But in this day and age, we have to do what we can do to keep ourselves carnivore while still getting, keeping within our budgets. Yeah, I love chicken thighs cooked in butter. I do too, Bert. I actually never thought about it before, but then there's a Robin at Simple Food, Simple Life. She made some chicken thighs where she actually rubbed them down in butter before she stuck them in the oven. And I tried that, and it was really, really good. It made the skins crisp up nicely because they were rubbed in butter. And then I, of course, add some butter to the side. What I do, when I add butter to a meal after the fact, I will just take a stick of butter and chop it up into little bite-sized chunks and then eat a chunk of butter with a big fork full of meat. Because there's something about it. I just don't like eating a bite of butter. But if it's on something, even if it's a piece of chicken meat or a piece of pork or even next to my ground beef, I really like it that way. I can't do butter by itself. But yeah, chicken thigh cooked in butter, absolutely, Bert. Great way to go. LSU fan feel like we paid $10 million for Mark Richt. Yeah, I actually have a lot of friends who are LSU fans. The pastor of the church that I went to in North Carolina is originally from Baton Rouge. And of course, the pastor that I know from a church down in New Orleans that I went to for a year when I was down there, he's from New Orleans. So I have a lot of LSU fans friends, and they are not super happy with their coach right now. So we'll see what happens. Okay, chicken here is 78 cents a pound for chicken legs. Yeah, and you may be a lot closer to where they raise chickens. I'm sure there are some around here, but there aren't a lot of chicken farms nearby, so the chicken here has to be shipped in. So it's still cheap because chicken is the cheapest meat there is, but there's shipping costs involved in getting it here to Nebraska, whereas that's part of why beef is so much cheaper here, is that the shipping costs are a lot lower. Same thing with pork. There's some big pork farms to the north of me, and so getting pork here is also cheaper. That's why I still occasionally buy a pork roast as well, because I can almost always, even when it's not on sale, get a pork butt roast, a 10-pound, roughly 10-pound pork butt roast with a bone in it for about $1.69 a pound, which is not quite half the price of ground beef, but it is very cheap. So, you got to do what you got to do. I'm now riding along the canal and not a single iguana inside. Yeah, I agree with Bert. The iguana population in Florida is low now because Rick has eaten them all. But I'm sure you'll find where they're hiding eventually there, Rick. And yeah, and see, the iguanas are afraid of you. They're like, oh, there's that crazy guy on the bike that likes to shoot us with his crossbow and take us home and eat us, so we better hide from him. Lots of parking lot chicken, and that's free. Yep, you're going to have to start going out and harvesting some parking lot chicken there, Rick. I saw on one of your videos where somebody asked, what's parking lot chicken? So you made another video showing what parking lot chicken is. And, you have to supplement when you can in this day and age, especially this time of year when it's, Christmas time. And, I don't have a lot of people that I buy gifts for, but I do buy a few gifts. And, money is tight, inflation is high all around the world. So if you need to, supplement with, hunting, whether it be with a crossbow or an air gun or an actual, if you're in the city, I probably wouldn't shoot an actual gun in the city, Rick, because I think the city of Miami frowns upon that. But depending on where you're at, if you can harvest a few wild animals here and there, and you know how to do that kind of processing, it's a really good thing to know. I mean, I've watched several videos. They're a little on the gross side, but I feel like I can probably process a chicken now if I have to. I can probably process a pig. And that could end up being the first thing I process when I get down to Texas, is because there are not necessarily wild boar, but there are javelina, and I hear mule deer are quite abundant in the area. So if one of those happens to wander onto my land, I'll have to figure out how to harvest a mule deer. Rick needs to get out in the Everglades and do something about the python situation. Yeah, now see, that would be a couple of a good video series, Rick. Take your crossbow out into the Everglades and hunt some pythons and some alligators and show us how to cook those up. That would be a great video series. The other day I watched Rick cooking iguana. Yes. And John says, I just enjoyed a 1 pound, 14-ounce sirloin steak and a burger while watching you. I am now nice and full. Good for you, John. Yes. For those of you that have arrived late, I talked about this early. I'm going to do the experiment because, I asked about this a few videos ago, and I'm just going to go ahead and do the experiment for myself after Christmas, because I'm going to go to Big Meats and get myself a great big steak for Christmas. But after that, I may even get out some charcoal and throw it on the grill outside just outside the garage door, so I don't have to stand out in the snow and the sleet to cook it. But I may cook it on a grill, and then starting the day after Christmas, I'm going to do at least 30 days of just eggs, because I figure about Christmas is the amount of ground beef I have in my fridge, along with some chicken and a pork roast. I'm going to get all that stuff out of here, and I'm going to have just eggs for at least 30 days just to see how I feel. Will I feel worse? Will I feel better? Will I feel about the same? I don't know. I will, of course, have them cooked in butter, so that should increase the profile. But I think I have heard somewhere along the way that eggs are like beef in the fact that you can get a complete protein and fat profile off of eggs. If anybody knows different, please let me know in the comments. Junk food and the net is a great way to get a free meal. I don't know what that means, but okay. I helped my dad butcher a lamb and a cow, and we had chickens as a child, and my dad used to butcher them, and my mom cooked them. We had deer when I was a kid, because I grew up in southeastern Ohio, and my stepdad would always go out and get a deer, but he never did that stuff at the house because mom liked the meat, but she didn't like to see the actual butchering. So he always took the deer down the road to a neighbor's house and hung it up in one of their trees, and they did the butchering and all that stuff down at the neighbor's house down the road. And then my stepdad would bring the deer meat home and throw it in the freezer. I think Dr. Berry did say that just the other day. Eggs are a complete protein and have everything your body needs in them. Well, they do have everything you need to make a whole chicken. And I think I've heard him say that before. I don't know. But I'm going to find out. Now, I don't think 30 days of that is enough to really, if there's an actual deficiency of some sort, I don't think 30 days is enough of a time period for that deficiency to show up. I'm more curious about how I feel going to just eggs, because I do like beef and I feel pretty doggone good. But I've had comments about, well, I eat the cheapest ground beef there is and blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to take it a step further and eat just eggs. I'm going to start with the cheapest Walmart eggs I can find. And then for the last couple of weeks, I'm going to buy some good eggs just to see if I can feel a difference in how I feel. And I, of course, will be passing that information along to you guys. Junk food lures in the animals and the net cat. Oh, okay, the net cat. Just spotted huge flocks of geese and swans waiting for springtime in the meadowlands, but hunting them would be a felony. Yeah, I'm not sure where you're at, Bert, but I'm assuming that they have geese hunting season at some point, but I don't know. That's like, here in the States, it's illegal to ever shoot an eagle. Not that I would want to shoot an eagle to eat it anyway, but a bald eagle is a no-go animal here. Where are you at with spices and such? I know how we Cajuns are. I'm on salt. That's it. If I want something a little bit spicy, I do keep, because it's just vinegar and red pepper, basically, I do keep a bottle of Frank's Red Hot sauce in the fridge. So occasionally I'll sprinkle, if I want something a little spicier, I'll sprinkle some Frank's hot sauce on it. But for the most part, I just use salt. Black pepper for me is a no-go. I did not realize it until I went carnivore, because I always like stuff really spicy, and I used a ton of black pepper. And I now realize that that was one of the things that was contributing to my pain, my arthritis pain, my spinal stenosis pain, because I was off of it, just using salt for like the first 90 days. And I thought, well, I've still got some pepper there. I'm going to go ahead and use some of this black pepper that I've got. And it was so good. I dumped some black pepper into my ground beef and along with the salt and cooked it up. And I woke up the next morning and I hurt. So black pepper is not something I can use here. And as far as other spices, I don't really miss them. Every once in a while, like I said, I'll throw some Frank's Red Hot sauce into something, both into either the eggs or the ground beef, sometimes both. But for the most part, I just use salt. How about everybody else? I know Keto Carney Cajun there uses some other spices. How about everybody else? Are you just using salt, or are you using some other spices as well? Canadian geese are about on the same level here as far as fines. Okay. Yep, there are things that you just can't shoot some places, but there are no laws in Texas against shooting at deer that wanders, basically anything that wanders across your property. You're allowed to shoot it and eat it. So that's what I'm planning on doing. Now, am I planning on that being my sole source of meat? Of course not. I'm still going to have a freezer full of ground beef and a refrigerator full of eggs, and that's what I'm planning on eating. But as time goes on and I get some stuff built that will attract animals in, if I can occasionally harvest one here and there, that would be good. And Arlene says, I have trouble with pepper too, but I sure like chili. I eat Tabasco, the red one, and the green one with eggs once in a while. Yeah, and Tabasco there's not a whole lot of difference between Tabasco and Frank's Red Hot sauce as far as the ingredients list that I can find. So I happen to like the flavor of Frank's hot sauce better than Tabasco. I'm sure it's just a matter of how they combine the ingredients, how much vinegar versus how much pepper they use, red pepper. Hi, Bob. Salt. No salt. Black pepper and occasionally Frank's Red Hot sauce. So you're using the no salt stuff for a little boost in potassium, I'm assuming? I primarily use salt only, but occasionally we'll have some black pepper, garlic, or onion powder. Yeah, and as long as we've talked about this a lot on this channel, as long as when you add spices in back after you first started carnivore and you've been salt only for a while, as long as you try one spice at a time so you know whether that spice affects you or not, I don't see anything wrong with any of that stuff. If you like it and it doesn't affect you poorly, then by all means, you should use it, because we all know Bob's not about being dogmatic about this stuff. Oh, well, garlic's not carnivore. You can't have garlic on it. No. If you like garlic and you've done the experiment and you don't have any negative effects from it, I see absolutely nothing wrong with that at all. Never tried Frank. Thought it might be too hot. How hot is it? I like mild. It's not that hot to me. Other people think it's really hot. I don't. That's a really hard question to answer because I've always liked really spicy foods. I mean, back before I was carnivore, one of my favorite things was just to fresh jalapenos chopped up and mixed in with my hamburger. And I don't think that's that hot either, but other people say that's ridiculously hot. Yeah, if you like mild, I don't know that I'll go with that. But if you like the Tabasco and you do okay with both the red and the green Tabasco, you should probably be okay with any of the Louisiana style hot sauces. Just make sure you read the label, make sure they're not adding any stupid stuff into it. They should just be red pepper and vinegar. I see spices and rarely use salt. Oh, spices. I'm guessing is what you meant to type there. The only spices I use when I'm cooking lamb, all other meat, is salt. Okay. Yeah. And Curb Splitter says if Frank's is too hot, try Cholula. Okay. Yeah. Frank's hot. Killing me. Come on down to South GF. Yeah, it depends on what you like. I mean, I like Frank's because I used to like stuff, that would light a bonfire in your face, but Frank's is just what I grew up on. It's what was always in the house. Is it that hot? To some people it is. To me, it's not. I like Frank's flavor over some of the other ones because I've tried some of the other Louisiana style hot sauces and they all taste like they're about the same heat level, but I just like the flavor of Frank's better. Well, we're down to just about a minute and a half here to go. So if you have any last minute comments or questions, now's the time to get them in. I do want to thank you all for hanging out with me for the hour here. It's been a lot of fun. Hopefully everybody has a great weekend. And hopefully tomorrow's video will be snow or at least ice. We'll see what happens. Hopefully this winter storm doesn't fizzle out and I actually get something here. But usually what happens is they put the entire city of Omaha under some kind of winter weather advisory, but then nothing happens. So we'll see. But that's what I've got for you today, folks. Hopefully you enjoyed this live stream. Like I've said many times, this is my favorite hour of the week where I get to just sit here and chat with you guys about whatever happens to pop up. He says, if I ain't crying, nose dripping, I'm not happy. Stay warm. I just started making pork red chili and my husband's loving it. I don't use any flour, just use extra butter, lard, or tallow to thicken it a little bit. And I do use fresh garlic smashed up. Like I said, if you're eating stuff that doesn't cause you any problems, there's no reason not to keep having it. I use no, yes, thanks, Bob spices. You sure you haven't been drinking today, Rick? But anyway, that's what I've got for you today, guys. Don't forget, get out there, be 1% better. Today, tomorrow, every day. Have a great weekend, guys. I'll see you in the next one.